Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and today I have a special guest. His name is Bernie. Hey, Bernie, how are you?
Hey, Cesar. Thanks for having me here. I'm doing really, really well. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. So Bernie is an Austrian expert for global business development in consumer and business-to-business markets. He has worked as a manager in the payment industry and head of many payment solution projects. He understands how to deal with the complexity resulting from interfacing legal requirements and technical possibilities. And currently, he is the CEO of a small startup called SignD. Awesome. Amazing. So I want to actually take it back, and I want to know about your upbringing. Where are you originally from, and giving more of your childhood, because I think that's very critical. I think as we begin in our journey of life, it really starts from that, right? And then dreams come out of that. So tell me about your upbringing.
Absolutely. And yeah, I just want to stress the point you said. What we're doing in our childhood, what we're experiencing, has a big input which accompanies us through our whole life. And it's the same with me, actually. So I was brought up in a very, very small village in Lower Austria. So nobody knows about it, actually.
Yeah.
And 500 people. And what has been quite particular is that my father was running a restaurant there, and there's kind of a history of small entrepreneurs in my family. So mostly in hospitality, and when you're on the countryside and you're growing up in a restaurant space environment, well, obviously everybody has to work there and contribute to the family success and to the family business. This is something which kind of taught me quite a lot about entrepreneurship, risk management, dealing with people. So on the customer side, on the one is one, obviously, but also with how I deal with employees and people who are helping you to run your business. And also to understand how valuable people are and how valuable motivation is for all of those. And this kind of accompanied me quite long. So I was still working or helping in that restaurant when I was right into my studies. I was doing kind of, for my age, quite a high profile job at the software company dealing in banking software. So I was kind of, during the week trying to finish my master's degrees, spending time in Frankfurt negotiating with the stock exchange, and on Saturday and Sunday, just going right into the restaurant and doing my work there and helping the business actually to grow. So of course that kind of accompanied me, taught me quite a lot as well, because the way how you interact with people, this kind of delivering business through serving, through making sure also, which is one of the most important things also I'm applying here in my company, is to allow people to grow in their role and allow people or give people the room that they can actually act and deliver their duties. This is something which I definitely got from that experience in my childhood. Although, of course, childhood was highly impacted by that, because the whole life of a small family business is around that family business.
Yeah,
that's quite an interesting experience.
And I definitely, one thing that you mentioned is how critical it is to interact with people, and I really, maybe that leads to to something that I haven't really talked a lot about in the show yet. I think is important is interacting with people, and then how you communicate with people, right? The lines of communication. How critical is that, not just for business, but even also for like your personal life, from your perspective?
Well, I think I never learned a useful craftsmanship or something like that. So communicating is all I can. So I would
Yeah.
say it's that's the most important thing. And you know, it's if we all saw it now in this corona lockdowns and all the madness which is happening here, and people being isolated, and I was suffering from that quite a lot, because I need that exchange. I need this kind of like high level exchange and the blah blah thing, as well as you know, talking in depth about some even going into philosophical things with a good glass of red wine or something like that. But this constant exchange with other people is something which gives me inspiration on the one hand side, so it's like the egocentric thing, but I also see how the interaction also helps other people, and this is a very important thing. And talking about business on the other side, you know, SignD is a business which is about onboarding people. So we're coming from regulated industries where onboarding is a must. So banks are not asking stupid questions because they're just funny, but they have to ask questions. They want to avoid money laundering and things like that. So all those interactions, even if they're digital or something like that, are some kind of communication. And I'm a big aficionado or big ambassador of right communication, because it's you can do so much wrong in communication. You can do it wrong in terms of asking too much, or too harshly, or putting a challenge on a person, just losing customers in the end. So I think, and also from the other side, so from our direct access to customers, we're dealing in the B2B business. So we have a product which needs a certain explanation. We're a startup, which means we're fighting against large companies sometimes, who are well established, big brands. And we need to tell people why we're better for them, or how we're supplementary to what the others are doing. And at the same time, we're communicating with those big oil tankers here, because we're kind of this, you know, the small motorboat, very agile and able to fix what those big oil tankers cannot do. So we're going to them and we're telling, all right, we're fishing in the same pond, obviously. But we can work together also. It's not like where everybody is on a heads on heads competition, and the only way how you can convince those is through communication and through. That's, I think, one of the most important thing. When we have a communication, as I just said, I get inspiration from our chats. That's very, very important. But it's also what can you give to a person during that conversation, because creating value for the other person is the basis for a good conversation, I would say.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. Now, in terms of even just if we take it back, I mean, I think sometimes as we're growing up, and as you say, you know, you kind of came from a family of small entrepreneurship. Did you ever had an idea that you were going to go into your own business or do your own stuff, or what was your dreams? Like, what was one thing you wanted to be when you grew up? Right, that's actually a common question we ask kids nowadays, right? What do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
And so, what was that for you?
It was very, very tricky, because I mean, you know, on the one hand side, there was all the influence from the family business. There's just like a natural thing, like, all right, I'm the eldest son. I was always working there. Of course, I'm
Ah,
going to take it. That was after kindergarten. Changed that changed a little bit. Where I said, probably not. And I don't know when it really happened. I remember I had to write an essay in English. Probably, I don't know, 12, 11, 12, something like that. And when exactly that question was asked, where do you want to be? So I said, I'm undecided if I want to become a Wall Street broker, or if I want to want to continue the family business. For a simple reason, I just saw what was the movie called? It was called, I think. Right. Anyways, but that was the start of me thinking about, okay, what can you create? What can you do? And you know, with always working in this entrepreneurial thing, I always said, okay, I want to create something, and I had to have this kind of natural curiosity. Joe said, let's do something which is helping people. Let's do something which is, this is actually what brought me there. And I mean, you know, I started my studies. I started a normal job, but even within this normal job, I kind of pretty soon said, okay, how can I move things? How can I make things? How can I create things? How can I pioneer things? And it was always there. I still continued to the next normal job, but there was again. So what else can you do? So I created the whole prepaid market actually for Central European Union from scratch, still bloody young at that age. And you know, this creation is something. There's a strong drive in me, and I always knew, okay, so this is a safe environment. I don't know if that's the right expression within a job, and you can move things, but then you always find those boundaries. You know,
Right.
it's where you're limited by the company. And after that prepaid business, I went to Western Union, and I just had a it was before the lockdown actually happened. I had a beer with the former chief marketing officer, and he just said, when he first met me, he saw that young guy, you know, just, you know, going over with ideas and ambition, and seeing me boxed into that company, which is, you know, it is a large company. It has structure. It has lots of strict rules. It's dealing with money. And I was like going with Elvis here, there, and I need to get out of that box. I need to create something.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I also achieved that, but at some point of time, it became too small. And this was went to another country, went to the UK to a startup, built a lot of business there, and even there, at some point of time, it was like, I'm still doing stuff that other people are telling me, which I don't necessarily like, because sometimes, you know, things are, well, I wouldn't say against ethics, but, you know, not necessarily that what you would do or you want to be done at. And yeah, and that was actually the time where I, you know, just said, all right, let's quit the job. So living in west side of London, pretty expensive. Savings were all into my MBA. So I quit the job more or less like, okay, I'm gone. See you. With little savings left, and you know, London is just draining your pocket very, very quickly. And then I said, okay, what can I do? And then the first clients that I was working with in that company, they approached me and said, do you want to work for me? Like, nah, not really. At some point of time, I answered, but I want to work with you. I'm starting a consulting company. That was pretty cool stuff. Went really, really well. Was overly busy. Did payment solutions in the UAE and in Indonesia, and really pretty cool stuff. Overly busy, so I didn't do any acquiring of new customers. So at some point of time, all those gigs were out. They made good money, but then I was there without customers. Said, okay, that's pretty good learning. So let's see how you can improve here. And I continued to do some consulting. So that was for a whole 10 years or something like that. And then at some point of time, it was just like, I'm just selling my time. That doesn't work. That's not creating. That's not what I wanted to do. It was quite good to live on those big checks from consulting that you can make. So I mean, don't get me wrong. So I had a good life. It was, you know, all over the world. And then I said, okay, let's do something which is changing, or at least what has the potential also to change other people's life, which makes life more convenient, more pleasant to people. And yeah, that's when I said, okay, let's start this company, which is now called Signed, and which is active on 3 continents already.
Yeah, you know what? There's a few things that you mentioned that I think are pretty important for the people that are listening to us and watching this. And I like the fact that, you know, one thing that I'm getting from what you're telling me is that you continue to work on yourself, like continue to work on a different idea, right? So you did one thing, you know, whether that worked or not, you went ahead and did another thing. Whether that worked or not, you went ahead and did another thing. And I think that's resilience, right? That comes down to keep working on your craft, keep working and going after whatever business or that idea that you have, and not giving up. And then the next thing you mentioned is that through all of that, there was a lot of lessons, yet you understood that you were selling your time, which I think is one of the biggest commodities that we have, right? I mean, I think, once that time is gone, that 30 seconds or that minute or that hour that we might have lost, the last couple of hours or yesterday, that's gone. And so you realize that you were selling your time. So how can you create something? Again, an idea came out of that, of how you can create something to really be able to service people, help people, solve people's problems, right? And that's what I hear from that, which I think those three things are huge in its own content, in able to create that. Now, with all honesty, we as people that are entrepreneurs, we're always going to have challenges, right? We're always going to have all these different things that we have to deal with and we have to be able to overcome. For you, based on what I have here, is I want to talk about your challenges. And one of those challenges was becoming a leader, right? And being able to be that person that is leading to that level, right? And so really overcoming, becoming a better leader. Let's talk about that. How was that for you?
That was quite a challenge, actually. But I think also the point of resilience, or as other people sometimes call it, stubbornness,
Yeah.
I think that also helped me. I was working in large companies then for over 10 years. Was basically, when I call it a boutique consulting company, it means me.
Mm-hmm.
So still leading people on a project basis or on an interim basis, but it's still a one-man show actually that was running there. And when starting starting SignD, that obviously changed. And even in the beginning, we were just hired two students to do some initial coding and stuff like that. They needed motivation. They needed a lot of those things that my clients actually did with their stuff. I was just telling them, all right, this is the goal vertigo. This is the expertise. Those are the things, connecting dots, blah blah blah. But that did not lead people really. And I think this is something which I already learned with the two first students, and then when we were growing and hiring actually the first real employee, I was pretty strong on vision. I still am, and I always will be. I'm extremely strong on vision, but this is something which can always, or which easily goes too fast for people then on an ongoing basis. Because as an entrepreneur, you're juggling balls in the air all the time. But an organization, as soon as you hit 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, that needs structure. It's a little structure with 5 people, and you can just go with the horizon and here's the vision, off you go, and you manage them to a certain degree. And here's the thing, so there's no leadership. You manage things on the one hand side, and you lead with the vision, which is also working, but the vision always needs to be, 2 years ahead of what the company needs to do now. And that gets tricky when you get to 10 people. And that was like where I tried to also get other leaders in and learned how they manage people and how they lead people, how they motivate people. I was still used to, and I still am to quite a high degree, to do things myself because I'm faster sometimes, because I just know it better. Well, of course, I invented the whole story. Of course, there's a lot of know-how here, but that's not a good thing to do with people because you don't enable them. And this is something which is super tough when at the same time still you have the need to maintain the vision, because that's what you sell to your shareholders, that would sell to your clients. What I actually did is with all the workload, I said there's no real point in just trying myself. So I'm inviting the other leaders in the company to exchange what works, what doesn't work. I'd also got I decided to get some coaching as well, because that's just the most efficient way, or it proved to be the most efficient way for me to do it, because it's time is of an essence. You only have so much time, and if you waste time, that's not a good thing actually.
Yeah, no, definitely. I love the fact that you said that you have to maintain a vision, and you have to, and you decided to get coaching for your own self, right? I think a lot of times we forget about what is our vision, and that's not only is that for important for a business. I think just as a person, right? Like, what is,
Oh, of course.
I see vision as, where am I heading? Where am I going, right? And if you don't have that clear vision, you're going day by day, kind of like
Yeah.
just a dead body, a living dead body, right? You're alive, but you're a dead body because you're every day is like, okay, well, what's gonna happen today? I know I couldn't do that myself. It's just not sustainable in my opinion. And I think that anyone that goes through that, and just living day by day, I think sooner or later is gonna get old. And or before you know it, as we talked about, time is precious. The time has passed you by, and now you're like, crap, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Like I'm already freaking whatever age, and you're ready to drop dead, and you didn't do anything, right? There's an analogy by this guy, Les Brown talks about this, and I don't know if you know who he is, but Les Brown says, imagine you're on your deathbed, and surrounding your deathbed are all the ghosts of the ideas that you could have brought to life, but now, because you were so afraid and you let time pass and waste, you're dying, and those ideas are dying with you. You didn't get a chance to bring them out to life. And I think that's part of it. Like, you go day by day, and it's like, no, you have to have a vision. You have to have an idea of where do you want to go from a personal perspective and from a business perspective. So I think that's so critical.
Yeah, that really gave me goosebumps now.
Yeah.
It's so very true. And this is really, if you have an idea, an idea is asked to be followed. Absolutely, I
Yeah.
fully agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing too is coaching, right? I go back to that, and I always often hear people's like, well, no, I don't want to pay for coaching, or I don't want to do this. And I'm telling, like, stop, guys, like, go listen to this podcast, go to YouTube, go to Google. You can
Yeah,
find free content right now that can give you some sort of coaching. Pick up a book, not just any book,
oh
a
God.
book that's going to, give you ideas. A book can cost you what, $20, whatever. And so that is also coaching, by the way. You're
Oh yeah.
coaching your mind. Now, if you want to play a little bit harder, or get the results, I won't say necessarily faster, but get more ideas, then yeah, go out and get an actual life coach, or a business coach, or a mentor that can help you with that. And I tell people, like, think about this analogy. You go to school, at least in the States, you got to pay for your school. You're paying for that teacher to teach you ideas and principles. Although a lot of times, I would say maybe 8 times out of 10, they only know the theory. They don't actually know the practice. Nevertheless, we're not going to get into that as a whole conversation. My point to that, though, is that you're going to school and you're paying somebody to more or less teach you or show you. That is your coach. That is your mentor. That is your teacher. Well, if you're doing that to school for a degree that maybe you're not even going to use, why wouldn't you do that in the real world, where somebody's actually giving you some real foundation and they're actually practicing what they're teaching you, right? It's the same thing, just people don't see it that way. What is your thought on
There's not much to add. I mean, I fully support that. I think there's what I really liked. The idea is that the book actually is coaching as well, and it truly is. And the same with also my experience with my coach actually. You can always coach on the subject you're working on, be it leadership, be it communication, be it whatever it is, or something related to the content of the business you're doing. That only gets you so far, however. So you need to spread out. So a lot of the things that are now in Sign-D are because I was always going industry overarching. I was talking to I mean, we're in the financial industry. I was talking to biologists as well. I was interacting here to get those I don't know how we best call them, weak links with kind of slightly unrelated things, because that's giving you a different perspective, maybe on the same thing. But if you're in this, especially when you're in this day-to-day thing, you kind of, you don't see left and right, and looking at it from a different perspective, looking at from a different topic, helps you to suddenly understand. So, all right, we're just talking about exactly the same thing, which is important to me now, but I would have never thought about it or never recognized that if we were coming from the title of leadership, you know. And with books, especially, you know, read half the books which are kind of on topic, and read half other books, and take out those things that help you grow. I think this is extremely important. It's also because I think the way how the brain works, the synapses, they're increasing with differentiation, with different aspects, and not always doing the same things.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's part of all of that, right? I mean, and so I have a question for you, and I think, you know, one of the things that I often ask people, and I get different ideas depending on who I'm talking to, and so I think it's critical for people to understand that. How do you define success in you know, for you? What does success look like for you?
Yeah, I hope none of my investors is listening now. Now, there's different layers of success. So when you start a business, obviously you also want to make money with that. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty clear success. But for me personally, it goes much further here. So I want to create something where I can say this did actually help people and get the proof. And this can be, I don't know. I mean, in our business, it's a better onboarding, it's a faster onboarding. You know, giving you back time, mm-hmm. which is one of the, we talked about it, one of the most valued things in the world. It's about security and peace of mind. And this kind of changing the state or the mood of the people. And this is something which we already say that's a fantastic thing. But before starting SignD, I was also, and I will be back to that, mm-hmm. Working with financial inclusion, mm-hmm. where I said there you can really make the difference for people by helping them get access to the financial systems, or now I'm more thinking about like the more digital inclusion, because there is simply no financial inclusion if there's no digital inclusion. I think about it that way. Just 1.1 billion people on this globe without a governmental issued ID. Without access to education, without access to financial systems, without proper access to digitization. Those goes hand in hand. So that's actually the things which are really driving me, trying to make the lives better for other people. And if I see that, you know, somebody can have a better life because of something I'm doing, that's definitely something I would call success.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things I want to add to that, and I think all of that is definitely amazing, and it's good. And I like the idea of, if you can see if you're helping somebody else, like that success, right? And a lot of times, you know, I think where people might make a wrong interpretation of success, in my opinion, is that people tend to define success based on a monetary value. You know, how much money do I have in the bank account, or whatever the case may be. And I say, yeah, like, as we talked, that money is important. It's definitely a factor. I, however, take it further or deeper, where I don't think that that's necessarily all success, right? Success could be as simple as you said, helping other people. What makes you feel happy? Because you see it time after time, people that have a lot of money are very miserable. They're not happy. They're doing drugs. They're committing suicide. They're doing all that stuff because, again, if you're basing success based on just a monetary value, I believe that is not the right way to go about it. Success is more than that. It's deeper than that, from my perspective.
Definitely.
Right? Yeah. Bernie, if people wanted to either connect with you, work with you, where could they find you?
Well, easiest on LinkedIn. That's always working. You just have to be able to type in my weird name, which is Bernhard Reiterer. So that is one thing. And probably one of the easiest ways is also to go to our website, and from there you can easily reach me. So it's signd.id. Probably my first and last Indonesian domain that I ever bought, but just the only one which is ending with ID. And obviously, it's probably a little bit easier. You can follow me on Twitter, which is Bernie Wright, the handle. I don't know. We can kind of put it on
Yeah.
there.
So I'll get all this information on the definitely put that on the comments so people can actually be able to see that, and that way they can they're able to type your name and be able to find you on
Yeah,
LinkedIn too,
exactly.
So yeah, no worries. So I have a couple more questions for you. I guess one of the questions I have for you is, do you have any habits or any rituals or anything that you do on a day-to-day basis just to kind of get you going for the day?
Well, I've got a couple of other projects next to this startup. So I've got two wonderful kids, for example,
Mm-hmm.
2 and 4 year old. So the daily routine is really to getting them up and preparing, the breakfast for the whole family actually. So not just the kids, also my wife is getting some coffee.
Yeah, right.
um, and it's also every day when I'm starting to commute. So it's all the waving which
Mm,
is done. So this gives a lot of positive energy
yeah.
to that. And before that, actually, it's the walk with the dogs, or the run with
Mm,
the dogs, which is also like, freeing the mind. You get up, you do your workout at the same time with the dogs, and ideas start coming. And this is a very, very, very important thing in my life, actually,
mm,
which prepares me for the day. And it's also on the way back. There's I have a close to 1 hour commute, which I going there I used to work, and coming back I just listen to music and relax there, and getting the day out of my head, actually,
mm.
which is actually super important, because then I can concentrate on the family life at home, even if the kids are already asleep. So that's definitely something that's helping me. And when it's warm and when there's not too many people around, I'm also practicing archery. But that's why I'm not that good, so that's why the people should be away.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good. No, I love that, and creating that family value and balance. I think that's critical, especially if you have a family, right? And one thing that I tell people is, as a matter of fact, I tell people there's 4 things that you can do if you wanted to win the day first thing in the morning. Like and one of those things you mentioned that is pretty much going out for a walk. So I tell people, if you want to win today and just be, on top of your game for the day, first thing in the morning, I tell them do 4 things. Number one, you want to journal, which is getting the ideas from your head into a piece of paper. So it's like a computer dump, right? You're getting all those programs out of your head. The second thing you want to be able to do is you want to be able to
The
do
most important thing.
yeah, look at that. See,
Yep.
exactly. See, so that's one thing that you definitely want to do, because again, you never know. You might have that one idea that can help you change your trajectory. Maybe not make you a millionaire, or maybe it could. At the end of the day, though, is that one idea that can help you just become better at
Yep.
whatever it is you're doing. The second thing I tell people to do is do affirmations, like really feel those affirmations and not just say them, mean them, right? Like mean that you are powerful, that you are whatever you want to say. Create a list of affirmations for yourself and just kind of do that. And then the next one is what you said, is go out for a walk. So I do this every day. I go out for a walk. Before we got into this podcast, since it's kind of early here in Los Angeles, I was doing my walk. I go out for a walk. I listen to some motivational audio or podcast, and just do a clear my mind. It's a good way to clear your mind. And then the last thing I tell people to do is do meditation, and also a form of gratitude, right? So meditate and be grateful for the day, right? You're listening to this, you're watching us right now. Guess what? That means that God or the universe or whatever you believe in is not done with you. So be grateful for the fact that you're here with me and Bernie in this podcast, right? So those are some of the things that I think are definitely critical for us to do at any given point, right? Bernie, my last question for you is, for the people that are listening to us and they are watching us, if they're going through any challenge, whatever challenge that might be, what is one thing they can do today to start overcoming that challenge?
Probably 2 things. The one thing is always a certain appetite for risks, controlled risk, not head over, but a challenge means you have to do some extra effort, and that always needs risk. So there's no risk-free thing to that. And the other thing is, gut feeling is an extremely great thing. So please take advice from other people, but don't trust them blindly. So most of the time, As I said, as a rule of thumb for me, I say my good gut feeling, if I have a good gut feeling with something, that's probably, I don't know, 70% right, 60% right, depends. If I have a negative gut feeling, it's 100% right. I think this one is super, super true. And if you're feeling about something, find another way. Find another way, be creative about that. And this is what helped me actually overcome most challenges so far. And a certain stubbornness, obviously.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I love that. I love that. Well, Bernie, thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else you want to say before I let you go?
No, just a very nice rest of the day, which is just started and it's about to end here in snowy Austria. I'm super happy that I've been your guest today. It was a
Yeah.
very, very nice discussion. I'm happy and thank you very much, Caesar.
All right, Bernie. Thank you so much for being here. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor. Please make sure that you follow Bernie in any of the social media platforms or go to his website and connect with them. And stay tuned for the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Till next time. Bye.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.